technology is always a solution in the crisis. So technology will be really handy. There are multiple areas in which this technology would be adopted. One area is in the conduction of admission tests. The other area where technology definitely will play a most important role is in the learning space.
For online education to really become mainstream and enroll millions of students rather than hundreds of thousands of students, we need to have online degrees that are accredited by the various agencies.
My message to all the students and the higher education stakeholders is we need to double our efforts in this time in order to sustain and keep our economy afloat.
In India, we have to look at technology and education 4.0 as actually providing education to the uneducated, people who are not getting quality education.
Education 3.0 was nothing but technology driven. This is now going to be a permanent feature and is now going to figure in all the teaching learning activities of times to come.
I welcome you all to ViewSonic presents Collegedunia Connect. My name is Shankar, young leader at Collegedunia.com, India's largest review platform and leading search engine portal for higher education in India. So today, we are going to discuss elevating student engagement level using hybrid learning. It has been around 1.5 years of online learning, and students and teachers are finding their way out to keep the learning ongoing. In this journey, technology has played a major role. Even I have done my MBA like 1 year in online mode. I'm expecting when the situation improves, some students will learn online and some students will attend classrooms. So there will be a mode where we are teaching hybrid learning. So today we have with ViewSonic, global leader, provider of visual technology solutions for digital education. ViewSonic Education Solutions offer multiple ranges of products for engaging students, streamlining teaching, and improving outcomes. So, I would like to thank all the panelists for joining us today. It's an honor to connect with you and excited to hear insightful thoughts. So, today we have with us Dr. Purvi Bhatt, NMIMS School of Science. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Dr. Sonal, Professor and Dean, KIIT Institute of Dental Science. Hello, ma'am.
Hello, good morning to all of you all.
Good morning, ma'am. Dr. Shankar Shyam, Associate Professor at Sharda University. Hello, sir. And Professor Joydeep Biswas, Assistant Professor at KIIT School of Management. Also, we had Dr. S. Hemalatha, but she couldn't join the event due to some emergency at her home. So, from Team ViewSonic, we have Mr. Lien, Director of the Management Learning Center at Chungbyon Christian University. Hi, Mr. Lien.
Hi, hello, good morning.
Hey,
hi, Lien.
Good morning.
So, now Mr. Lien will set the context for the discussion and will share his experience using hybrid learning solutions by ViewSonic. So, Mr. Lien, stage is all yours. Let me know in case you face any technical difficulties.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to share my desktop, so please just a moment. All right, can you all see my desktop?
Yes, Mr. Lien.
It is able to see my desktop. If it goes okay, please. I'm wondering if you can type any characters on the chat room so that I can see anyone here.
I request everyone, please switch off your video for a while and audio.
Okay,
I
okay.
request the speakers to switch off their video and audio.
Okay.
Great, thank you, panelists. Yes, Mr. Lien, this is your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. Actually, it's afternoon here, so it's kind of weird to say good morning. There are some late, sometime gap here.
Difference.
Yeah, time difference here. So I just want to share a view with my experience of hybrid teaching in Zhongyuan Christian University. Okay, so please check the first question here. And as an educator and as a teacher, yeah, I think all of you are educators and teachers in India, right? So we always ask ourselves, how is the classroom over here? How is the wrong color? I just want to use this color. How is the classroom different since the pandemic? So what is the modern classroom should be? What is the modern classroom goes like to interact with online students, to elevate students' engagement? So in my experience, I have some transformation here. See, because I am a director of a Mandarin Learning Center. Of course, we teach Chinese language. We teach Chinese as a second language. So obviously that I have to speak Chinese language in my profession. However, I just want to communicate with all of you. So this time I speak English. Okay. So I teach Chinese language in Taiwan. However, all the students in 2019, 2020, in the beginning of 2020, all students come to Taiwan and sit in front of the desk, sit in a classroom and learn Chinese. We teach Chinese in Taiwan. However, we've encountered a big issue, right? Over here, pandemic. So how to conquer that situation? Because the border has forbidden, the border has closed, so all the students are forbidden to travel to Taiwan. Instead of never mention learn Chinese language here. So we are trying to figure out a better way. We are trying to figure out a solution to connect with students and teachers all over the world. So imagine how to do it, how to interact with students and teachers, just like in a classroom. So we cooperate with ViewSonic, and we build up a classroom. It calls hybrid teaching classroom. See, you can see my desktop. You can see this PowerPoint. This is my classroom. Okay, I use this classroom to collaborate, to teach Chinese language with all the students all over the world. Please guess, how many students here? How many students here? 100, 200, or 3 or 4? No.
I guess it's 3.
Yeah, there are 1,600 students in my classroom. So we use this technology to connect, to encourage all the students join this classroom just like before. Okay, so we call it ViewSonic Hybrid Teaching Classroom. We use a PTZ camera to tracking the teacher, just like here right now. There's a PTZ camera in front of me, so it can track me all the time. Just like to behave like students in a classroom, all the students can track teachers, right? So I use this camera to take the role of their real eye in the classroom. And I use this one, you can see, I use the IFP interactive whiteboard to write, to draw, to enlarge any content on my PowerPoint so that all the students can see very clearly in the classroom and, of course, online. I guess right now, all of you can see my PowerPoint very clearly with my remarks, with my circles. Am I right? Okay, thank you. So that Like, we build up this classroom to connect with all the students all over the world. So we call it hybrid teaching. The purpose of hybrid teaching classroom is over here. We try to use computers. Of course, computers can do lots of things, and elevate students, elevate students, participants, and also we can use the computers to share the PowerPoints, and of course we can use here webcam. We use 1, 2, 3, 4. We use lots of cameras in the classroom. See, one webcam is a PTZ webcam, and also we use the visualizer in the classroom. You can see I use my Viewboard as my drawing tool, as my interaction tool. So here is the toolbox, and I use this one. See, if teacher wants to see a model like a virus, so I can use the visualizer to embed in my PowerPoint slide. Of course, that is embedded in my on my screen, so that I can take a look. I can draw. Sorry, there you go. I can draw here, and the students can see. Oh, yeah, this is a model of coronavirus, right? So, no, students can stay in the classroom. Also, students can stay in from their laptop, can see any operation on my desktop. So I use webcams, I use a microphone, I use touchable devices, and also I use my Viewboard for Windows, so that I can connect with students in the classroom and connect students online. See, this is what we call hybrid teaching. So with the network, just through the network, and and we can do synchronous teaching, we can do asynchronous teaching, and also we can streaming, just like a live streaming to all over the world, and also we can do voice recording while teaching, so that we can storage and we can share every teaching videos with all my students all over the world. And also we call it an educational ecosystem for here, online, merge, on-site. Okay, I just want to give you a real example in my study room. Here, see, this is my study room, and also I built up my study room as a hybrid teaching classroom. Just like, please, just a moment. I just want to share my here. This is my another webcam on the top of my IFP. See, to build up a hybrid teaching classroom. So, just a moment. I just want to control my camera on the top of my screen here. See, to interact with the students, I use a front panel in front of my eye, and I use a tracking webcam, so that the tracking webcam can see me all the time. And also, I can interact with the student here. I always ask students to type things to respond to me in the chat room, and also I can see their video webcams in front of me, so I can interact with. I can observe their smile. I can observe their face. But however, the big marker seems that I cannot interact with every one of you here. So if I use Google Meet, or I use Zoom or Voo, anything, so that I can interact with real students online. So this is how I do, and this is how we do in the hybrid teaching classroom. That's a hardware equipment. So that, any question? If you have any question, please. Oh, sorry, I just ignore the Q&A area. Okay, thank you. All right, if you have any question, please type on the chat room. And as a contemporary teachers, okay, all of us must be familiar with the synchronous teaching method, okay, including here. I call it a traditional synchronous teaching method. For me, I won't sit in front of my desktop anymore because it's a very traditional way. Actually, it's the old way. I prefer to stand up in front of my blackboard, kind of blackboard. Okay, it's an interactive whiteboard, so that I can perform teaching, just like a teacher. When I do my credentials, my teachers call me. My teacher asked me, please stand up, please speak louder with all the students, please keep your eye contact with every student in a classroom. So I call it hybrid teaching classroom. So as our incubation and the pre-pandemic experience, hybrid teaching, just like before, and also we can merge the experience in nowadays teaching. So I really appreciated ViewSonic can invent such a great classroom and great equipment with me and with my school. All right, then here there are some tips and tricks to facilitate a hybrid teaching class. See, I have equipment over here. I use 10 displays. Okay, how much? Oh, there's a poll here. Do it later. All right, so there are lots of equipment in my classroom. Here, I use pen display devices to handwrite. I use screen sharing, just like it, like right now, just like right now. You can see my remarks, you can see my gestures, you can see I can embed the visualize on my screen. And also, I face to the camera. I get used to face the camera because I know all the students are in front of their screen. So face the camera just like face the student's eye, or just like see the student eye with the direct contact. And also I use the microphone and headset to communicate with all the students online. And also in the hybrid teaching classroom, I can see the students in front of me, so I can use the microphone to connect with my speaker system in a classroom. And all right. Okay. I see another poll here. Do it later. Sorry, because I have a panel in front of me, so I can see all the pop-up message. Okay. So, for a teacher to teach online, for a teacher to teach in a hybrid classroom, I highly recommended that all of us can use 2 monitors, just like me right now. A large panel in back of me, so that I can do the traditional teaching method, just drawing, just like remark all the time. And also, I have 1 monitor in front of me. So with the 2 monitors, I can see the student so that we can engage each other all the times, okay? And another trick is I use the pan, tilt, zoom, and wide angle lens, okay? So that all the students can see me. Look, this is my classroom in Zhongyuan, in the language center of Zhongyuan Christian University. Please guess. Is that screen is in the front of or the back of my classroom? Front or back? Good. This is the back side. Okay. So this is my language classroom. This is the back side. See, I have a pan tilt zoom webcam on the top of the IFP, and I have another IFP to show the participants, to show their message here. I can see all the students' face. And this is the real classroom. So I have lots of seats in the classroom. See, there are seats, but in the pandemic, there's no students in the real classroom. So teacher is in front of the classroom, right? And also I use this one, an interactive whiteboard, to draw, to enlarge my message, to show the content to the students in the classroom, and of course online. And sorry, I was watching my cell phone, and my eye can see the webcam on the top of the IFP. Okay, so I think actually this classroom, I have 11 classrooms like this in my language center. So all of the Chinese language teachers and all my students can interact in that classroom with a very natural way. So I got a very high ranking of my students, because all the students says, wow, this is so good because I can learn Chinese language. Oh, all right, I'm now at home, I know, but I can learn Chinese language with just like a real teacher. And she can, or she or he can teach Chinese language with a real remark, with a very clear voice, with a very clear image. So I got more students. I got more students as before. Okay, then here we go. Another PowerPoint. So the selection of lesson preparation and teaching software are, and for the most important thing is, please try to adopt the interactive whiteboard software so that we can draw, we can capture image, we can recording our voice, we can recording all teaching videos, and also we can augmentation the teaching process. What it means? What do I mean augmentation? Because I can do recording, and also I have a lot of tools in the toolbox, just like countdown timer, dices, and also I can embed YouTube videos when I'm teaching. So there are lots of functions in the interactive whiteboard. And also we choose synchronous platform, and also we do lots of interactive actions, interactive activities without students. We do IRS, interactive response system. We do questions, we do online assessment, just within this very powerful drawing tool. And also the interactive whiteboard called my Viewboard. I highly recommend it. All of you just go to that website and register to download a free tool to use in your daily teaching program. Okay, because you can remark, you can do IRS with your students, so that we can engage the students online. So the techniques to perform a success online teaching are, first of all, familiar of using modern teaching aids, just like interactive whiteboard, just like powerful tools of interactive drawing tool. And also we must have a highly interactive skills, just like roll out speeches, breakout sessions, questions and answers activities, and also try to adopt the IRS tools in your classroom. And please reply the messages all the time. But I can, but there's no message in the chat area. Okay. And another, I think this graphic is quite important to all the teachers because this is form, test, knowledge, action, verbs, and activities. While I'm teaching, while I'm preparing my teaching, see, I always open up this graphic and choose some activities and choose some action verbs to try to involve in my teaching life. So I think I really recommend it. All of you can Google this graphic and find some activities and try to adopt the activities in your online or hybrid teaching. And the key points of software, I think the most important of all is desktop sharing. And of course, we can do real-time annotation, just like what am I doing right now. And also, a teacher have to instant responses and do some interaction with the students. While students asking questions on the chat room or while students unmuted their microphone, we can respond with them immediately. And the key points of teaching interaction are the audio and video must be very clearly. And the teachers can annotate in teaching materials, and also the teachers can interact with students. The key point of educators, okay? I highly recommend all of us education tech savvy, because make the best of use online teaching related to technology, just like what I'm doing right now. Your teaching strategies and could reach an unprecedented level. And final and last and my conclusion is, all the teachers won't be replaced by technology or won't be replaced by AI, but will be replaced by those who can adopt proper technology-based strategy. Okay, thanks for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lien.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So I will just play a video, quick video for all.
No one was prepared for the year we had, but I knew that my job as a teacher was to be the rock for my students. So I needed a way to engage my students from wherever I happened to be. And then I found the perfect solution, my Viewboard Classroom. Because my Viewboard Classroom has video and collaboration tools built in, all my students could engage whether in class or at home. Today, I worry about how my students will adjust to being in person and how I will use what I learned in the past year. They love using their portable pen displays while at home, and they can bring those displays into the classroom too. The tools in my Viewboard Classroom are fun and engaging, which really helps me differentiate my instruction and helps address learning gaps.
There's not much that keeps me up at night, but I often think about how I can make my lesson reach a particular student, or if I could share a more real-life example, or encourage my students to push their expectations of themselves. I continue to have hope that all I put in will inspire my students to reach higher.
My Viewboard has been a game changer for me. I have cool and engaging ways to get my students involved in the lesson.
It's a total package that allows me to connect any device, no matter where I am, to content I've used for years, and share my lessons with students wherever they are. My students can engage with awesome tools like Pop Quiz and Throw. This gives me a quick snapshot to check for understanding and pivot my lessons on the fly to enhance comprehension. My Viewboard made teaching from home easier and will definitely make my teaching better as we head back to the classroom. ViewSonic makes back to school easier.
Hello everyone, welcome attendees. Keep sharing questions in the Q&A section. And there is one exciting offer from ViewSonic, where one lucky winner will get the chance to have an Amazon voucher worth 3,000 from ViewSonic. And you just have to do three things: sign up for my Viewboard, second, join ViewSonic Teachers Community, and third, easily take the screenshot and send it to marketing@viewsonic.com. I'm sharing all the links in Q&A section. Please find all the links there. So now we will start our panel discussion. First, I would like to ask a short opening remarks from each of our panelists. So I request panelists, please switch on your video. Great, thank you all. So I first request Dr. Purvi to have an opening remarks for all our attendees. Ma'am, you're not audible.
Oh yeah, sorry, it was muted.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
audible
sorry.
now.
Yeah. Good morning to one and all present here, the panelists. Also, thank you to Collegedunia for inviting us to share our thoughts. And also, I think it was interesting to see this this particular application, which is of use to all the faculties all over the globe. So it's quite motivating, and of course, welcome to all the students and other participants who are there in this particular meeting today. So one of the this particular topic, when we were invited for this to join this session of how to engage the students and elevate their engagement level and elevate their learning, is I think one of the common challenges most of us as a faculty are facing in this online mode. Because what happens is that once we start delivering the lecture, we are into the lecture, but the students, you are not able to make an eye contact with them. So obviously you don't know what exactly is happening at their end. A student, whether he or she is engaged, not engaged, and at the same time, whether students are motivated, non-motivated. So I think it becomes a double task for the faculty to put in, that extra effort and ensure that the students are engaged during the session. So it's good that this particular topic has been raised and looked at in this particular discussion today. So I think these are some of the opening remarks, and I think as in how we proceed, we can address different points. So over to you, Twinkle.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I will request Dr. Joydeep to have an opening remark for all.
Thank you, Twinkle. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Clearly.
Okay. And a very good morning to all the panelists and all those who are there here listening to this webinar. And it was a very wonderful presentation, and we learned a lot, Dr. Lien. Thank you so much. My opening remarks for this would be the fact that there is definitely a shift towards an online teaching mode, and we as teachers or educationists are really struggling to find out the most viable and the most effective method of trying to educate our students. And I feel the struggle will be on till we could, till more companies or more ideas like the one which we just had from Sir are kind of portrayed to all the students. Till then, we are always going to be a little confused as to which is the most viable and most effective method of doing an online teaching. Thank you. There's a lot of echo. Yeah.
I guess microphone is on for other speakers.
So I really couldn't hear what I was saying.
Okay. I will request to switch off your microphone while others are speaking. Now I will request Professor Joydeep to share his opening remarks.
Hey, thanks Twinkle, and thanks to Team Collegedunia for inviting us here. Thank you, Dr. Lien. That was very great learning experience for us. Very good morning to all the panelists and of course the audience there. Of course, the topic is very relevant. I think like this pandemic has impacted lives of so many professions. It has definitely impacted teaching, learning, and we keep reading about this, how there are learning gaps which is emerging for the students, and we saw it in the video also which you played. I think it has also kind of exposed the learning gap which faculty or academicians as a fraternity would have had, right? So I think it has also pushed us harder to adopt technology and the look forward or explore the best possible tools available. And I think it's a great thing for education. It has shaken us or moved us out of our comfort zone. We have been used to doing certain kind of, used to teaching in a certain kind of manner. So I think overall it's a very relevant topic. And I think in that sense, this has definitely benefited. So even if there are, issues in the shorter run, in the longer run, academics as a field will only enrich itself because of this. However, I would have wanted these benefits to not accrue by the kind of issues that we have had. But nonetheless, I think it's a great thing which is happening. We all are learning. So organizations like ViewSonic will also come up with better solutions, and we will also have to, as academicians, work with them so that solutions emerge which will be beneficial for the students. Yeah. So I think that's how I would like to talk about initially.
Thank you, Professor Joydeep. Now I would request Dr. Bhatt to share his thoughts.
Very good morning to all of you. Dr. Lien, good afternoon to you. And there is a love for Taiwan is always there in India. And it was really a very interesting session as we are talking about elevating a student engagement level using hybrid learning. And one of the interesting thing is, now students are not interested in the class in the morning, 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. They're saying, sir, why not you take class at the 10 o'clock night? We all will be available. The challenge is how to create the same kind of classroom in my house or in my home. That I can always have a classroom over here. The system can be there. I don't know how ViewSonic will give that facility to us that we should create a classroom in my home only. Of course, that is one of the interesting things. I'm sure I really look forward for the discussion today. And friends, I'm sure that many of the participants, those who are attending, they will definitely add some great value from today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So without any further ado, we'll start our panel discussion. So I would like to ask Dr. Purvi your thoughts. Like, for example, it has been a year teaching in online mode. So what are the challenges that are still persist in terms of technology for using online teaching?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, first challenge which I have observed is, the student engagement. You may take your classes, but then, you really don't know what are they doing sitting at home. So it's very difficult to, understand that whether they have really understood. So you have to employ certain strategies to, ensure that they are listening to you, they are understanding what you are speaking, and your message is conveyed to them. So, and also one challenge, I think, understanding from their side is that students also have a lot of distractions at home. So that is one factor which, you cannot really overlook. But having said that, yes, student motivation, student engagement are some challenges, I think, which we have been, at least I have been seeing that.
Twinkle, can't hear you.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, my apologies. Thank you.
Welcome to the challenges of online learning.
Yeah. So now I would like to ask Dr. Sonal, can you share some challenges that you have faced when ensuring students are engaged during the virtual lessons and taking an active interest during the classes? Ma'am, your microphone is off.
Sorry. See, I feel the challenges are extremely similar to what Dr. Purvi mentioned. There is an echo that's happening when I'm talking. Is it because of me or is it because of some other mics?
Maybe other microphones are on, that's why. So
okay.
Switch off.
Yeah, even I was facing the same.
It's very disturbing to talk.
But we can hear both of you clearly.
Okay, so see, I feel basically, especially in the faculty that I belong to, we belong to a dental faculty where skills are extremely important, along with the theory that we teach. So, like Dr. Purvi mentioned, the theory part, we have the same challenges that she also faced. It's extremely difficult to sense whether the students are really digesting the information that we are forwarding. See, we may be teaching them in the best possible way, but unfortunately, the pandemic came in where we did not educate the students as to how to learn and be responsible for learning themselves. They have been used to a teacher teaching and they absorbing. So the entire focus of learning is also on them, and they are also responsible for understanding. Somehow they did not know when they parted with us during the pandemic. So it gets very, very difficult for them probably to concentrate looking at the screen for such a long time. I can sense it, because now when I'm listening to all of us speak, after some time you wish you had a cup of coffee, you wish to look into. So the point is that we as teachers never told them, because we, like Sir mentioned, Dr. Joydeep did mention, that we ourselves were in a learning curve. See, we moved from teaching from a classroom suddenly to teaching online, and we ourselves are not adapted to it, and hence we did not educate our students, and I feel they're still not educated as to how to learn from an online system. As to, you have to keep all your other gadgets closed, you need to concentrate. We as teachers are unaware of, the blame game is easy to say that the students don't pay attention, but we as teachers do not know how to teach online. We have slides after slides and slides after slides. We do not shift from a slide to a mode where, they can see our faces and we can have a contact with them. We are unaware of the fact that we can see their faces and we should be seeing their faces. We should be asking them questions in between. That kind of engagement we were not educated with. And I feel that was the biggest challenge. And in our country, to a large extent, I feel having a very good power backup, like you mentioned to me, ma'am, until and unless you have a very good power backup, you will not be welcomed on screen. So these challenges are difficult. It's one day it's a rainy day, one day it's a sunny day, one day there is no current. You can't blame the children, and I feel the children are the best politicians to have. So they know when they are asked a question, they cannot hear you. So these things make it extremely challenging for us to engage them.
Right, ma'am. Actually, I know a student's challenge. Like myself, done online learning for 1 year, but the first time I'm hearing what challenges teachers are facing from their end.
Twinkle, they're larger than what students face.
Yeah, right. So now I request Dr. Hari to share the same thoughts. What are the challenges you are facing to engage students in an online classroom?
When we're engaging the students, I hope ma'am has already said a lot of things. But 2 points definitely I like to add. One, the students are missing practical exposure. Of course, Dr. Lien have shown something, but still I am finding that the practicality part is missing over there. And another part which I have learned when interacting many of the parents also, that we are somehow promoting kind of more lousiness than education at this point. So for engagement, of course, it's one of the big challenge, how to engage these young students. It's a very big challenge, because while attending, when you tell them, when you start your videos, and when you see the background, you realize that there is a big challenge, because you need a complete attention, but somebody is attending classes, sitting in a complete crowd. It's really very amazing. It's a very common practice now I have seen. They can attend classes from anywhere. A little amount of this also is applied on faculty also. It's nothing that faculty is completely free of just taking classes from there only. But yes, this is one of the challenge in the terms of engagement, and that there we have to really work very hard. And how we can really find the solutions are also there, but this is a big challenge for the engagement.
Right, sir. So I would like to now request Professor Joydeep. So according to you, what are the effective ways to engage with a large group in a virtual learning? What challenges you have faced, and some suggestion to share with our audience?
Yeah, sure. I'll be more than happy to help whatever I have, a little bit I have learned over the past 1 year. I couldn't have agreed more with Dr. Joshi, Dr. Bhatt, Dr. Hari. The engagement is a major issue. There are two major learnings which I have had, and this is taking from Dr. Joshi what Dr. Joshi was mentioning, that both he and the students are learning together in this process. From the engagement perspective, so we keep showing PPTs after PPTs, whereas in online, right? So that doesn't work, and you yourself were mentioning about your student experience. So one is what we do try at KIIT University is what we call the concept of flipped classes, because the engagement has to be increased. And I'll take build on what Dr. Joshi was referring to, that the onus of learning is on the students. So what we have started attempting is that provide all the content before the class as much as possible. Okay, so then it is not that there is no passing on information, though that time is gone. We heard Dr. Lien, the information is available at every nook and corner. That's not content is not the matter anymore, right? So to put the ball in the court of students, if you can refer, state it like that or phrase it like that. So what we do is we provide the content beforehand, and in the session itself there is no presentation. Okay, so the only thing that happens is a discussion between the student and the faculty, because I don't need to put on the PPT mode. Okay, so I do not need to put on the PPT mode, and I can only tell them that so you can refer this slide or that slide. So that way at least we get to see each other. The other major learning is that again, what Dr. Joshi was referring to about distraction, and even Dr. Hari mentioned that there is so much of distraction, and there are gadgets and there's backdrop issues, noises, is to understand in this online era that you can't compete with technology. You can't compete with that internet or Googling that the student is doing. You should not. Okay? That's the bigger learning. Okay? So one thing which we have been doing, I have been doing and practicing, and along with my colleagues at KIIT University, is what we do is that we encourage the students to go and access technology during the class. Okay, so instead of saying don't use your phone, so what I always tell them, okay, so this is what we have said, why don't you Google? Or if there's a term which I have used, okay, and you don't know, why don't you do a search yourself and then tell me, right? So then what happens is that we are embracing, of course there are academic specific technologies like ViewSonic, learning solutions, and then we have our Google Classroom, which are learning management softwares. But I'm saying technology in general, what we consider is a distraction, need not be a distraction if you let the students use it for the learning purpose. Okay, so I think these two things help a lot. However, I would completely agree with the other panelists. Engagement is a challenge. Okay, it is very, very difficult to say that the engagement levels are still at the same level as a physical classroom. Management, I come from a management background. Management is an education which depends on peer learning. It is not one-to-many communication. It is, many-to-many communication. That's the only way people learn management. So to create that peer learning, and this is my, suggestion to Dr. Lien also, whatever, so whosoever represents ViewSonic or any learning tool, how to ensure that there is more of peer learning. So I understand there is, breakout rooms and Zoom and all that, but I think that's one area which will require to be developed from technological point of view if we have to move forward in this area. So those are some of my thoughts.
Thank you, Professor Joydeep, very rightly said. Now I would like to request Dr. Purvi for the same question. According to your experience, what are the effective ways that you have applied to engage large group of students in a virtual session?
Yeah. So I also completely agree with Professor Joydeep's points of breakout room, because that personally I have also seen that it helps to great extent, because students, as you know, they are behind sitting at home and doing something. But if I break them into different rooms and groups and I assign an activity or a task, then they have to work. I mean, they have to be alert and be working there. So directly or indirectly, whether they want to or they don't want to, but they are forced to get alert and be active in that participation. Another thing is that many a times, we also observe, or we do find a mix of students, like, some who are really motivated and always, answering question, to your questions, and some who are like, probably not very confident, but just sitting quietly and not very sure to what to say. So it is also important that we tap both the edges, like the ones who are not really participating as well as the ones which are participating. So that way, you also build their confidence. And another thing is that right in the beginning, you set your learning goals clear that, okay, if I'm teaching this particular module, what is expected? What is the outcome of that module? What will be the take home message, or I would say learning for them, and what can they expect, and how will that help them, not just in this particular module, but in other subjects, in their particular course, and later in their career. So then, they'll be appreciating that, okay, if I learn this subject, then this is how it will help me. So, and also, like I said, try to break the ice. Many a times students are not comfortable talking. They are non-confident. So I think these are some ways, you need to keep trying different things at different point of time. Like there's no one particular rule or success rule applicable, but yeah, keep looking at them and, feeling the moment you decide what has to be implemented. That is what I have experienced.
Rightly said, Dr. Purvi. Now I would like to request Dr. Sonal a question on a similar line. Like in case of group presentation, how do you facilitate in terms of group presentation in distance or hybrid settings? What are the ways different teachers can adopt to facilitate presentation? Because in classroom we invite students 4 to 5 interacting with other students. So how the same we can have an online scenario? As we know, attention span is very less among the students.
From the dental point of view, what we really do with our students is we have them present a small seminars. We give them a topic. We sometimes hold debates for them. We also ask them to do case-based scenarios. So, I personally feel the challenges that one faces online or offline to engage students are almost, I wouldn't say they're the same, but it's a good teacher can engage students even on an online mode. So you have to really you should be passionate about your teaching, and if you're passionate about them, you would find your own ways to make sure that you're engaging them. And the way that you mentioned, having these break room classes where you have students coming in and doing seminars, debates. We have small quizzes that we give them on Kahoot. So when they form groups and then they do it, then they're engaged. We have a lot of question and answer sessions that are there for them. And we do that in the form of MCQs, but we team them up into MCQs and then we ask them to do it and then they answer. So in that which way they form a group together, and there is a kind of clear influence that happens in when they're answering their questions. So that is how we take care of group sessions.
Okay, ma'am.
And for us, problem-based questions are something that, makes them think out of the box, and that's how they come together and open up their mind.
Great, ma'am. So I would like to request the question, Dr. Hari. So, in which mode, which mode do you find comfortable for teaching? Is it pre-recorded sessions or desktop sharing? So, how do you think in India hybrid learning is a solution?
Twinkle, one thing is there, as we have already seen the presentation, and now you try to make hybrid is a necessity now. Like if you really want to teach theories, I'll definitely recommend for pre-recorded sessions are very good. But if the desktop sharing, which we have just seen, now it is already there in many of the university, already it is practiced. It is really required for a practical exposure. So hybrid is a necessity over here. And one of the interesting thing I learned when Dr. Lien was talking about synchronous teaching, and he was saying now it is a traditional. I was thinking how quickly we have shifted from 4G to 5G. Because still many of us following the same model, still we are doing the same, and he's saying it has become traditional now. So, the world is shifting very fast, and there is a requirement of a hybrid teaching. Like we are seeing, one of the good things which I have learned during this pandemic, many of the Indian schools have learned very fast the hybrid teaching in comparison to the higher education university or institutions. So it was really credit to them, and I'm sure it will follow us in our universities also. All professional higher education institutions will follow this, and hybrid teaching is a necessity today. You cannot avoid that. That have to be a party to your profession in your style, because I don't find this pandemic is going to stop for another 3-4 years the way things are going on. Thank you.
Right, sir. The same question to Professor Joydeep. What do you think? Like the scope of hybrid learning, how easily universities and professors will adapt to this learning?
Of course, I think it's pretty obvious. Dr. Hari also mentioned that hybrid learning is here to stay. The proportion of online aspect of it might vary from institute to institute, from stream to stream, might also reduce a bit as compared to what we are seeing today. Okay, so but we all acknowledge and we all understand that hybrid learning is here to stay, because we shouldn't fight technology. We'll have to embrace it. There is no other way. Okay? There is no other way. And I think Dr. Hari also gave a very beautiful example. A lot of things which we thought were upcoming have suddenly now looking, they seem to be traditional. So there's no escaping hybrid learning. The thing is that there have to be, I think, few better solutions, and the need and the requirement will also emerge over a period of time. And as faculty, we don't have a choice today. We really don't have a choice but to join this revolution in academics which is happening. I think Dr. Lien gave a very, very good quote towards the end, that teachers are not going to be replaced by AI and bots. Okay, and that is something this pandemic has made it clear, and I'm very happy about it. That if at all there was any fear that teachers are going to be replaced, it's absolutely clear during this pandemic that they're not going to be replaced, irrespective of whatever technology comes in. The students crave for our personal feedback and that personal touch. So that has assured me of my job for at least 10-15 years. But I think Dr. Lien mentioned in that quote that but teachers might get replaced by those teachers who are embracing technology better than the others. So I think that's a very good way to summarize or give a summary to your question.
Rightly said, Professor Joydeep. So now, Dr. Purvi, I want to ask, can you share some tips and suggestions to improve behavioral engagement of a student in online learning?
Okay. So I would also like to add, in continuation with the earlier discussion, that we being from the science school, and particularly myself from the biological sciences. So as Dr. Sonal also mentioned, that we have a very strong practical component, which we even call as experiential learning. So that is at the moment missing, because students don't get to do anything hands-on, and they are really craving for it. In fact, so much so that off late from past week or so, I'm observing students trying to come to college, because of course they have some official work of submission of certain documents, but they are just coming here and they are like, from their eyes you can make out that they want to come and work in the lab. But of course, currently without the government guidelines, we cannot call these students, so that is our limitation. But talking about engaging them, already I mentioned to you that one way is assign the activities to all of them. Even try to give them real life problems, or like in our case, even experiments. Ask them to troubleshoot the experiments. That okay, this experiment didn't go the way it should have. So what do you think? What is going wrong? So even though physically they are not here, but it will make them think. So they will look for answers. Like I think we also heard in the earlier discussion where Professor Joydeep said that even if they are using some gadgets, that's okay. Let them use it so that they are engaged and they'll try to find out the answers. So I think this is one of the way. And and for practicals, like I said, I did try to even show them the on live practical. I mean, like performed practical. But for certain practicals which are quite lengthy and which have incubations, we may not be able to cover it. For that, probably the recorded sessions may help, is what I feel. So and already for low engaged students, push them beyond the boundaries of comfort and make them comfortable. And I think that's how, make them realize that yes, their thoughts are also appreciated, they are also valued, and they should not undermine themselves. So I think these are few things one can try. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Purvi. So one question for Dr. Sonal on a similar line. Can you share some tips and suggestions to improve cognitive and emotional engagement of the student in online learning?
Thank you, Twinkle, for this question. And I feel students will be emotionally more stable when they come back and they learn to interact with all of us, and things come back to normalcy. But as of now, having at least having the cameras on while we are teaching and having engaged them in smaller groups, rather, even if you have a class of 100, after the class is over, you could have them in smaller groups, have smaller discussions, have teachers, engage them. That would be one way to get them emotionally more engaged with us. Cognitive skills will improve. I personally feel when you give them questions that will set them thinking. So unfortunately, whether we like it or we don't, students finally relate to marks. You give them the marks, they're happy, they pass, they go on to the next year. Okay, for them, everything finally gets related to their marks. So if you want to ensure that they finally have learned and absorbed and recollected what they have learned and reflected on it, all you need to do is to make sure that you have more assessments that you're doing while their course is going on. And if you keep assessing them and those marks are added to their final scoring, will they finally pay attention to what you're doing, and you will be able to achieve your final goals. So I personally feel that yes, technology is here to stay, and we as teachers should use it as adjuncts to our teaching. Okay, because all technologies will help us evolve into better teachers, but at the same time, I feel there is nothing wrong with our traditional means of teaching. I feel that the chalk and the board and the talk and the board helps the students stay most connected to us. So definitely, like Dr. Lien mentioned, we will be absorbing so much of your technology into making online classes more, appreciated by the students. But respect what we had already.
Right, ma'am, right. So same question to Dr. Hage, I would like to ask, can you share your tips and suggestions to increase student cognitive and emotional engagement in a class, in online learning specifically?
Yes. A lot of things I've already discussed. So I'll add some more values into this, so the benefit will be there. Like one of the questions you have asked about the behavioral, cognitive, and emotional engagement. Over there, there are some advices I have, which I don't know like people like to follow or not, that we need to teach for short hours in bits and pieces. And I'll always advise to go for a 20 minutes per session and give a break of 10 minutes if we really want to increase the engagement of the students on a higher side. I have observed that 20 minutes is quite enough, then their engagement is quite high. And here, we need to break our course modules, whatever we have, that we have to convert into micro course modules. That's another interesting part. Of course, the quiz, as Dr. Lien and everybody was talking about, the quiz is really very important. We have to promote more discussion. Dr. Sonal was talking about the case studies. Case studies are really very important. And, the assignment has to be less during, and the more time engagement we have to give in discussion. Now, it's not only that we should use this platform. As a digital marketing professor, I will always advise that we have to use the various social media platform also, because we have to think like a student. And students, like there are Facebook private groups are there where we can really promote a lot of social discussion if we really want to increase our engagement more a part of the class. And of course, as we need to do a lot of Q&A sessions. And I always enjoy one thing, that we can use trivias also. A lot of trivia talks sometimes really pay a lot. The students get a lot of interest over there and engagement is high, and we can also use rewards over there. So there are many things we can add, but these things will definitely add value and the engagement level will be high. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So same question to Professor Joydeep, and a closing remark from you as well.
Yeah, thanks Twinkle. It is always difficult to bat lower down the order when such good batsmen have already batted and there's hardly scope to add anything new, but I'll still try my best. Yep. So cognitive engagement, what I would suggest is Dr. Lien was talking about Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so there are different levels of learning, and we all academicians relate to it. So this pandemic again has made me think: how can I, create evaluations which are at the application, analysis, and creation level of Bloom's taxonomy, right? So your quizzes don't work, and Twinkle, no offense meant, but you have just passed out. You know what quizzes mean in online forums, right?
Yes.
So how do I make the student, cognitively engage and make the student think? One tool which has worked beautifully for me is project assignments. Okay? And when I say project, and especially works in management, real life projects that I have created for some of my classes, it replicates real life in two ways. One is that in real life, when we solve a problem, okay, we work in groups. Okay? So that's the way forward in management, in most of the domain. So when these group assignments are created, the students get to work amongst themselves, and that helps them engage and think and learn from each other a lot. I was talking about peer learning earlier. The other benefit, or the other thing in which these real life projects replicate the real life scenario, is that they help the students use as many resources as possible. Okay, it doesn't restrict. In a quiz, for example, you're not supposed to look at internet, or you're not supposed to look at a book, but that's not how real life works. In real life, when you are trying to solve a problem, you refer books, you refer students, you refer your friends, you refer internet.
Right.
Okay, so when these group project assignments happen, okay, what they are doing is basically trying to solve problems the way they would do once they pass out. Okay, so they will work in groups, they will refer to each other, they will refer internet, they will refer books. Okay, so this has worked a lot, and this also gives them creative satisfaction to the students to have done or synthesize something on their own. So I've seen a lot of very high quality stuff come from students, in last 1.5 years as part of project. Of course, a lot of us give projects, but what I'm trying to say is to make these projects central to the course instead of as peripheral one-off assignments. Okay, build your learning around it. So that is one thing which has helped a lot, and it lends itself beautifully to online forums. The other thing from affective or the feeling engagement, as I was referring earlier also, letting them speak with each other in the class. Okay, let them drive the discussion in the class. Okay, that's very, very important. I have seen the engagement levels go very high because of it. And not only I'm saying in smaller groups, okay, or smaller breakup rooms, but more even at the larger, we generally have a class size of 60 and 70. And I see a lot of interaction happening when I let the students take charge of the class. Okay, video. Dr. Joshi was mentioning is a big challenge. They always have excuses. But what I see is, or what I feel is that when you let them interact amongst themselves, so the number of videos getting switched on, because they don't want to see us. Okay, so let's be clear. Dr. Purvi was talking about it. They don't want to come to college for us or for class. Let's be clear on that. They want to come because they want to meet their friends. Okay, so I have absolute clarity on that because they want to meet their friends and partners. So once we keep that engagement going in the class, I think the involvement is that much higher. Of course, we are there as facilitators to ensure that the discussion goes in the right direction. But yeah, I think these few things help a lot. I think these things help a lot.
Yes, Professor Joydeep, I can relate to it from student projects and not turning on the video. So it was really insightful session. So I just would request some closing remarks from Mr. Lien. If you would like to add something.
Can you hear my voice?
Yes, Mr. Lien.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Purvi, Dr. Joydeep, and Dr. Holly, and Dr. Sonal for your valuable remarks. Actually, I keep going back to my conclusion because we were focusing on engagement. We were focusing on how technology can help all the teachers. And actually, I know, and all of us know, it's a very hard time for all the teachers and all the students. in pandemic because we cannot go to school, we cannot learn as a user. However, in my opinion, I think there are many important things for us to do. Okay, in my perspective, I think to engage all the students, we have to engage ourselves first. I mean, how to engage in the classroom, in the teaching, in the daily life, because I think actually when I teach on the stage, I always perform or I always play like the actor. I do lots of gestures. I do lots of. I always try to control my voice. I try to keep engaging with my webcams because I know all the students are behind the scenes. So to engage with the students or to interact with the interact with the students online, I insist all my teachers, all my students have to turn on their webcam so that I can stare what their performance, so that I could know their emotions. So in the hardware perspective, the most important thing in the classroom or in the study room, just Ali said, I want a teaching environment like you in my home, right? But we have the most important thing is have to place a monitor in front of us, no matter in the classroom or in the study room, because we can interact with students face to face. Okay, just like this I just showed you before. And second, try to tech savvy. All the teachers try to tech savvy. I ever asked to my students or the incubation teachers, am I using any really high technology in my teaching? They said no, just a big screen TV, right? And just a camera and just a microphone. And actually, they are not obvious high tech technology in my teaching. So how to interact with the students with the assignment or IRS? See, we have a chat room. So I always encourage with my students, hey, please respond me in the chat room because I can see your responses, so that I can respond, I can reply your comments, I can reply all the answers immediately. So I think that is a important thing in a hybrid teaching classroom. And also the hardware, the important thing in the hardware placement is here, IFP, all right? Because you can see I can enlarge with my PowerPoint just with 2 fingers. Try to enlarge with my content so the students can see that. Sorry, I don't share my screen. However, if I share my screen, all the teachers, all the students can see my teaching material very clearly, so that I can remark, I can ask them to read it aloud, or they can use via their smartphone. So they can learn just with their smartphone. So I think the equipment is quite important for the teachers nowadays. And one more thing, there you go. Education tech savvy. Okay, so all of us have a laptop, right? All of us have a webcam, right? And all of us have internet connection. And in my opinion, all of them are educational technology. So how to use them and how to make the best of use them is our responsibility. So if we can make the best of use online teaching related technology, so that I think and I also believe we can interact with our students very smoothly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lien. And Team ViewSonic, thank you. Team Collegedunia is glad to be associated with the organization. And thank you all the panelists for coming and joining us today and sharing such an insightful experience of yours. So I'm looking forward to connect with you all again. And I can see there are many questions in the chat box. I will reply to all. And some are saying that appreciating all the professors who bring to us new thoughts and innovative ideas. So I guess attendees have listened to all the suggestions and tips. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us on the panel.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that we can flip
you,
our
ma'am.
classes. Thank you.